Now, before studying or getting deeper into the act, let us first understand when was this act made. From the title itself, you can understand that the act was passed in the year 1872. Now, I always request my students, I always tell them to take the name of the act along with the year. For example, this is the Indian Contract Act 1872. It's not the Indian Contract Act. You have to name the act along with the year, whatever act it may be. So this is Indian Contract Act 1872 and it was passed in the year 1872. So we know what is an act. We've already covered it in our last segment. We know that Indian Contract Act is made in the year 1872. The word Indian, what does it imply here? The word Indian implies that this act is applicable to India, to the territory of India. I would say it is applicable to the whole of India except for the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Most of the acts, if you see, are applicable to the whole of the India except for the state of Jammu and Kashmir, because Jammu and Kashmir has a special status in the Indian constitution wherein Jammu and Kashmir has been given the right to form and enact its own acts, except in the cases of national importance like defense, acts related to army, or acts related to emergency. Apart from these things, Jammu and Kashmir has the right to form the acts for itself. Indian acts are not applicable there. And finally, coming to the word contract, which is the most important word in the whole act. But before coming to contract, let's just revise what we've done now. This act is passed in the year 1872. This act, now if you see the year, it's 1872. Do you think Indian Parliament was in existence then? And if it was, who administered it? Who ran it? Who regulated it? We know that we were under the British rule in the year 1872. We got the independence only in 1947. So it's quite obvious that Britishers ruled India in the year 1872. So we can say that the act was passed by the Britishers. Because they ruled India, it was passed by the Britishers. But it was passed in the Indian Parliament. They had already set up the Parliament and the judiciary then. Judiciary used to take care of the crimes and other peace and order related matters. And Parliament used to take care of the enactment of laws. So this act was passed in the year 1872 by the Britishers in the Indian Parliament. And as I said, this act extends to whole of India except for J&K, that is Jammu and Kashmir. This act does not apply to Jammu and Kashmir. However, let me tell you, the state of Jammu and Kashmir has adopted this act in their own state. The act as it is has been adopted by the state of Jammu and Kashmir. However, it is called as the Jammu and Kashmir Contract Act. This was one question which was asked in the exam on the basis of what we've done, we've studied, we've learned till now about the Contract Act. It was a very basic question on the applicability of the act and who formed it. The question is, the Indian Contract Act is passed by A. The Indian Parliament, B. The British Parliament, C. The US Congress, D. None of these. We've just done this. The act was passed by the Indian Parliament. I already told you that In the year 1872, Britishers ruled India, but this act was passed in India only, in the Indian Parliament, not in the British Parliament.